Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel. And let's have equal rights for everybody.
This is Jenny James Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Christian Cano, you're the co-host. My buttons are Moms Men Action, Gun Sense Legislation, Healthcare for All, Medicare for All, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. It is Coffee Pan Dulce time. And we're already almost to mid-September, so if you're seeing this live, it's September 13th.
Zoom. Really Zoom.
It's technically a short month because there's only 30 days in September.
Yeah.
And we don't have the bonus Wednesday like we did in August. And August felt really long.
That was a long month.
I don't know if it's just all the craziness going on in the world or the 5 Wednesdays, highlighted with, Charlotte Pride locally. And then we had,
the Florida shows. Yeah.
And a holiday and 90-degree weather. And
I mean,
it was.
At least it wasn't 115 or whatever. We don't have a governor that's trying to restrict water breaks.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Oh, you mean like in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They passed something, or he did an executive order.
Yeah.
To ban mandatory water breaks.
Yeah, but the good news is. Yeah. The good news is the states, the big states, Houston, all 5 big states, cities. I'm sorry, all the 5 big cities: Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. They all gathered together and took them to court, and a state judge put a halt to it, said it was unconstitutional because it violated local rule in Texas. So unlike North Carolina, the one thing that I know Jenny differs from this, and sorry, I'm going into a rabbit hole here. I apologize. But Texas, actually, their constitution protects local rule. Those cities have more power than the states. So it's like reverse. And however, just like in Florida, it's a very unusual situation where you have their current Republicans are trying to overturn a century of laws. They want the state to rule the cities, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But we'll talk about that on one of our current events. But as Jenny said, everyone, welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barb Bacon. It's great to have Barb back, and her internet is working for now. So we will Yeah, so we will see. We want to thank everyone who's joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube, and the thousands who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. But as Jenny said, it is the middle of January. A lot of great things going on. Jenny's birthday is coming up. A couple days, almost less than a week after you see this, we'll be celebrating Jenny's birthday. Also, Jesse says de September. The 16th of September, for those who know what that is, it is not Cinco de Mayo. It's actually the official Mexican Independence Day. And we'll be doing a grito contest that we do every year. We'll see if we can fit that in our schedules here. But today's topic actually is going to be one of my favorite topics, and I know Jenny is going to have something to say about this, and we'll have what Barbara has to say. We'll be joined by renowned Spanish media, our Spanish journalist. He's based in Charlotte, North Carolina, but he has traveled all around the world and all around the country, Rafael Preto, talking about this topic. And the topic is Latinx and Hispanics are now the #1 NFL demographic. And so we will talk about on many teams, we will talk about that and what that means for the NFL and so forth. But before we do that, we are going to go into Barb's current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
Okay, here we go. Barb's current events. For those who know, these are 3 topics that we started over almost 2 years ago now that Barb suggested, and we thought it was great. So we're going to try to do this very quickly. All right, the first one. I'm stealing one. We tape Jenny's show before this one, and usually I steal a bunch of them. The first topic. The Proud Boys are now proudly in prison. The week that you see this, it'll be a week old news, but their leader, Drama Queen, is now going to be serving 22 years in prison along with his other top lieutenants. That's the first topic. The second topic is, and I think this is real interesting for the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia is going through a battle between their moderates and their MTGs. So is the state of Texas. But the state of Georgia is fighting back. They are trying to kick out one of their state senators who's kind of like a MAGA MTG kind of person, except he's in their state legislation, because he was one of the persons indicted for helping Trump, and he's the one trying to propose all this legislation.
He's one of the 19?
Yes, okay. He's one of the 19, and they're kind of tired of them, and they want to get them out because it's hurting them with suburban voters. The third one I thought was very interesting, and I just saw this right before we started taping Jenny's show, so I don't have a lot of information on this. But apparently, the $7.1 million that Trump's campaign made selling his mugshot, if y'all remember that last week or whenever it was, apparently there is a law that says that you cannot profit from that. And as a result of that, he may have to forfeit that money. And that's something that CBS News broke, I believe, the week that we're taping this. So there's not a lot of information on it, but that's the latest interesting news. So 3 current events. We'll start with you, Jen, and then Barb, we'll let you talk about your own topics. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not shocked that they have a law prohibiting you being able to make a profit off or make revenue off a mugshot. It's okay if other people do it, but it's wildly inappropriate for the arrestee to be able to, I think celebrating criminality, especially if you're a former president, not that he has any standards, but at least hopefully our country does. The MAGA person down in Georgia, I said this 2019, and I've said this the entire time. The Republican Party, if they ever want to be a viable political party again, which they're not right now. Right now, they're more of a terrorist movement than anything else. If they ever want to be taken serious again, they're going to have to claw back out of the MAGA movement and reestablish themselves just like they did after Reagan and became the post-Reagan Republican Party and didn't let Reagan politics dictate their decision. They're going to have to rebirth themselves again into some sort of sane, competent, common sense group, or Gen Z is going to vote them out. They're going to be obsolete in a couple more election cycles. They're going to be done. And there's just no other way of putting that. The Enrique Tarrio conviction and getting sentenced 22 years, super delicious. Hope he enjoys his proud boyness in prison, being surrounded by a bunch of men that don't like traitors to our country. The good thing about prison justice, and this is something that I've had friends that have served time, they don't like rapists and they don't like traitors, because they feel if you're serving time for whatever you're serving time for, but especially in a federal prison, you still owe it to your country to be a good citizen.
Yeah.
Most of the people in the federal prison where he's going to be going, is probably going to get out. They're not in a super max federal prison where they're thrown under the prison for life or double life or whatever. These are people that are primarily cyber crimes and different, federal level crimes. But one thing they don't like is traitors. There's a certain amount of code amongst those type of people.
I was going to say there's like this unwritten code. Yeah.
There really is. And they don't like douches like him.
And they don't like child molesters either.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
They usually don't survive their sentence. Because a lot of the people in prison have a case history of being abused physically or sexually or whatever as a child. And so, that prison justice, there's a justice system inside the justice system. Once you get into that ecosystem of a prison, Enrique's going to have a tough 22 years. He is. Yeah. And just like one of the Oath Keepers is, doing interviews from the prison and going, "Oh, it's terrible in here."
He got 17, right?
27.
Did the other Oath Keeper get 17?
One got 18, one got 17.
Maybe it's 18. Okay. Yeah. 1 year.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a lot. How about the Georgia state senator that they're the GOP is trying to get out?
I think, at the end of the day, when, we take back the House next year and kind of settle things back down in 2024, the MAGA world versus the Republican Party, that's kind of one and the same, but there's some distinct differences too.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to really reevaluate what their party wants to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to continue down this don't say gay, going after drag queens, going after reproductive rights, if they're going to go down these paths of what I call political suicide, I don't mind watching them go down in flames. I don't mind seeing the Republican Party destroy themselves. But if they got any reasonable voices left of that party, and that's questionable whether they do or not, they need to not just do it for political reasons. They need to do it for human decency. And, part and parcel, they stood by and they conflated assholes like Trump, known rapists, known criminals, known scammers. I mean, he'd already been civilly tried and found guilty on the Trump University thing. They elevated into a presidential status.
Okay.
And here's my problem with this. Not only did he cost a lot of American lives because he's completely incompetent and mishandled the COVID crisis, but if we'd had a reasonable adult, a functioning adult as president, not an idiot suggesting that they drink bleach or shoot UV rays down into their gut to get rid of COVID, if we had a responsible adult running the country in 2020, how many more people would still be alive? and not to mention the January 6th and all this other crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that.
One of the many scandals.
Exactly.
One of the many problems. All the financial problems that he brought with giving massive, record-setting tax cuts to people that don't need it. All the other infrastructure problems, all the problems he ignored or exacerbated by his 4 years of disastrous presidency. Is that when you take somebody that's been a lifetime of a con man and you elevate him past the point of competency like they did with Trump, that his own staff was quitting on him left and right in his first 2 years. And Rex Tillerson, as he was leaving the job, said, Trump's not just an idiot, he's a fucking idiot. That should have said
something.
And he
is so glad he got out when he did.
Yeah, he got it early.
Early, yeah.
He was one of the smart ones. And you're exactly right, Barbara. I mean, Rex put on his golden parachute and said, you know what? I've made a lot of money in my lifetime. I've cut some masterful business deals.
And you aren't one of them.
He got out where they're getting good. He went public with how his feelings of it. He didn't try to hide it or even make it graceful. He did not have a graceful, quiet exit. He came in as loud into the job as he left, and he just said, "Hey, this guy's an idiot. He shouldn't be
what
president."
If he edited his bio?
Hey, Jenny.
I bet he was editing it as he was walking out of the White House.
Probably.
He probably like, call my agent. You gotta whitewash my.
Change my LinkedIn profile as I'm walking out the door. Hey, real quickly, Jenny, Barbara, you want to comment on any of those three before we take our first break?
Okay. I will say that I'm glad to see that the Georgia legislative people have some brains in their head, and maybe if that happens in Georgia, it would be a nice little chain reaction throughout the country. But I don't know that it's never going to happen in the Republican states. But the borderline ones, and I understand we're considered borderline now because Cooper's out, and a lot of people don't like Josh Stein, so that's upsetting. But and I'll wait and see what happens with the Proud Boy, but the other ones, they're in and they are not happy. Trump, you better start wearing a bulletproof vest. Wouldn't you guys be worried?
Yeah.
I'd be worried.
Yeah. Well, their attorneys have said it is outrageous that these people are serving all this prison time and Trump hasn't even served 1 day of prison. The Proud Boys attorneys are saying that. So that's what's crazy.
I know.
So what do you think about the $7.1 million that Trump may have to return to the Fulton County Sheriff?
Actually, we had a discussion about that Sunday because I said, I thought if you were even indicted, you could not profit from your own case. Lawyers have gotten in trouble for that. And then there were two lawyers there and they said, he's gonna pay. So they were right, and I'm like, oh my God! I tap danced. I was like, here we go, guys. If we can just get rid of him before the end of the year, he might even be in jail for something little, for all we know.
Well,
go to jail in Georgia, right?
I don't want to blow up Jenny's head, but she has been predicting this. So, hey, listen, we're up against our first break, and we'll be right back. I'll let you comment on that, Jenny. We'll be right back at Coffee Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching, and support local Black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery. It has some fabulous pastries, food, king steaks, all kinds of specialty cakes, swallowing, and much, much more. Some of the best food you eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching the Florida shows. They've been wildly successful. Obviously, it's a topic that you guys have enjoyed and wanted to know more of. And we like talking about the dumpster fire. It used to be the state of Florida. And we'll probably talk about it some more this summer. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce Show every week. Don't forget you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Coffee Pan Dulce, and thank you all for staying with us. With today's topic, we'll be talking about the NFL and how the Latinx Hispanic demographic is now the number one demographic for many of the teams of the NFL. So before we went on break, I did make that comment about 2 years ago. I remember after January 6th, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know how long it's been. But Jenny said that Trump wouldn't be able to run for president again because he'll be in jail. And I don't know if I said it out loud, but I do remember saying, "No, they'll never put a former president in jail." But
you said it out loud. You said it out loud.
Well, Jenny's got a very good memory, so we'll have to roll the tape back. But Jenny, you have any comments on that before we go into our topic? Because I'm sure you do.
I hate being right.
Oh no, you don't. Not in this regard, you don't.
Exactly.
No, I actually love being right. And here's the thing, and this is a very significant historical fact. If they don't follow through and do the things they've done, which I'm going to say kudos to the Justice Department, this is the most complicated trial with the January 6th is the most complicated criminal case in American history. There's not even a close second. It's in a class on its own. It dwarfs Watergate. Like Watergate and Iran-Contra have nothing on this.
True.
Data-wise alone, they had to hire a special consultant that has a NSA, CIA background that's actually a former Republican. Just gather and catalog the amount of evidence, 3.5 million pieces of evidence alone. People are asking why it's taking so long. Well, they've had to prosecute 1,100 people over the course of the time. They had to investigate it, arrest these people because they didn't just come in and go, "Hey, put me in prison." And
they're not done yet either. They're not done.
They're not even close.
Yeah.
They're still hunting people down. Actually, 2 people from North Carolina are on the run right now.
Yeah, they have a whole list of them. Yeah.
They're boned out. They're out on bail and they have jumped bail, and they've got a
And Canada's not going to save them either.
Oh no, they're going to bounce them right back because they're part of the Proud, or one of them part of the Proud Boys. It's a husband and wife that's on the run, and but I think the most important point is that certain parts of the Republican Party, and if you looked at some of the things that the governor of Georgia and the former lieutenant governor, Republican, have been saying, is that they're slowly inching out of the MAGA deal. Yeah. Because they know it's Trump.
They will. I bet Georgia will be the precedent. I do. I'm hoping.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I think, for one, their behavior under Trump and the things they did and the stuff that the current governor pulled cost them those 2 Senate seats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And multiple.
And they know it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was part of their wake-up call. I think part of it is this prosecution of Trump that made the perfect call to those Georgia officials. Yeah. And they got all, he's going to get convicted. Sure. Or they're going to to where he can't run again. But you got 19 other people sitting up there with him, from Giuliani to Mark Meadows, all those other people that are also involved with this. That's 19 possibilities of rolling over on Trump. He's done. He stick a fork in him. And I think what you're going to see, and I think you're going to see this in states like North Carolina. I think you're starting to see it a little bit in Alabama. You're starting to see it in certain legit red states.
Yeah.
Or a history of being very red, moving towards a more centric look because they're going
Ohio,
we're
Yes.
Ohio, Kansas.
Wisconsin.
They weren't. I never thought Ohio was as extreme because that governor isn't an extremist. He has not allowed that.
But their legislators.
Yeah.
They're legislators.
That's the problem. Is their federal and their state legislatures, like Jim Jordan, people like that, are hardcore.
Yes.
They're wackos.
Yeah.
And so you're right. The governor's been pretty moderate. I guess moderate for Republicans. I mean,
exactly. We have to.
I mean, you have to frame it with the context that Attila the Hun, if they were in the Republican Party right now, they would probably be considered a moderate.
That's right.
It's the era of MTGs, Matt Gateses, Jim Jordans, that sort of thing. Even Nixon would probably be considered a centrist in this Republican Party. Maybe even Reagan, because Reagan was gun control. And so with the Brady bill and all that kind of stuff, because he was a shooting victim.
Hey, Jen, one of the things that they've been talking about, you're exactly right, in Georgia, as Barbara said, we kind of have to watch Georgia. We've always said we got to watch Virginia because their governor got elected as a moderate, but he's coming out to be a little bit more wacko conservative. And that's a big concern for the Republican Party in Virginia because they're going to lose the suburban voters who don't want that. But one of the things I think that people are looking at, but they've been kind of talking about it quietly because they're not exactly sure what it means. In Texas, the attorney general, the current attorney general who's being suspended, Paxton, his trial is going on. Yeah, his trial is going on. And the religious right groups, the Ted Cruz people of of Texas, they have held the Republican Party a hostage since Bush. And and that's the reason Republicans have always leaned more right, was because the religious Christian evangelicals in Texas have done like MTG and all of them. And they've said, if you don't give us what we want, we're going to primary you. So they've always been afraid of being primaried because they come out and vote in primaries real heavily. Well, they threatened a lot. They threatened 11 Republican state senators, and they said, when this trial starts, if you don't vote to dismiss this, we're going to primary you. And 8 of those state senators said, all right, I'm not worried about you anymore. 3 of them did abstain. They didn't vote against it, but they abstained. So what they're saying is their tactics aren't working like they used to, because that they wanted to see if they were going to do that. So I don't know what that means for the state of Texas politics, because it is so extreme. But the fact that some of their state senators and these are Republicans, are allowing this trial to continue, and we have to remember the impeachment or whatever what's going on in Texas occurred because of Republicans filing it against Ken Paxton. And Democrats just voted for it. So anyway, I don't know if you want to comment on that, Jen, before we take our second break.
Do the MAGAs have a big enough majority to get rid of some of these people? I mean, I don't know the numbers in Texas. I have no idea.
Well, they probably do, but the fact that 8 of them said, I'm not worried about your concern, must mean that they have taken the temperature and said, you're not as powerful as you used to be, because they've seen it, the people who voted for them. And so I've always said this, is that the MAGAs and the evangelical Christians are very, very loud. And they're a small population. The problem is in primaries, they come out at 80, 90%, and the other people don't come out as much. So they have an impact. And so apparently I don't know, Jenny can maybe speak to this because she follows more politics. Apparently what their suggestion is, even if they come out at 80, 90%, people are so tired of them now that they're going, I'm going to help you because I don't want Ken Paxton anymore. I don't know if that's what they're saying, but Jenny, you have any comments on that?
Well, the issue is that, one, this is where gerrymandering could bite them in the butt.
Sure.
is they
No.
because in the suburban metropolitan part of Texas, like the outlying areas of Dallas and San Antonio, those are still very purple districts. Colin
Yes.
Allred put that when he won his district in a former Republican-held House seat, that now is running for the Senate against Ted Cruz next year. Yeah, and Texas is a blue state.
Yep.
Been turned into a voter-suppressed purple to red state. But we got to remember, Democrats held power for a long time in the United States, or equals, if not superior, to Republicans.
And they Democrats still outnumber Republicans on voter registration in Texas.
Well,
The
then,
problem is that
then what's the problem? They just don't show up?
They just don't show up. But due to
In the
voter
urban
suppression,
areas, they don't show up.
and they've consistently suppressed the vote, especially in Houston, the largest county,
exactly.
largest city. And so they've done the Republican Party's done a very good job of voter suppression. Now, having said that, the metropolitan Republicans are very moderate Republicans.
Exactly. Yeah.
These senators that are standing up against Paxton, Abbott, and Dan Patrick, that are the big evangelical, hard, alt-right wing. I mean, they were MAGAs before MAGA even existed.
Yeah, they were Tea Party people.
Yeah, these were very.
I remember them. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about Texas Republicans on district offices like state Senate, state House, local officials, county officials, their campaign donations typically don't come from religious PACs.
Exactly.
They come from local people, wealthy people, typically, but local people.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of animal. Whereas the lieutenant governor, for example's primary only funding comes from one religious PAC.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like millions of dollars. That's why that jackass held office for lieutenant governor so long. And because they don't have term limits. But so the funding mechanisms, the biggest threat with MAGA is the funding. But Texas's politics is so different. One, they only meet every other year. Two, they've come to the end of their legislative cycle for the most part. They're doing a special session on this impeachment process. When this impeachment trial is over, it's the end of the session. Yeah, they can just
and they'll meet again for
and say, "Hey, we'll see you in 2025." You know, and so the nice thing is, you know, most people have a very short-term memory. Nobody really cares about Ken Paxton. The evangelicals will probably if he gets impeached, the evangelicals are going to be all barking on bite. They're going to look the other way because they still got Dan Patrick. They still got Gunn.
Exactly. They're going to sacrifice him. Exactly. Yeah.
But then what happens for his replacement? What are the Texas laws? Does the governor replace, or is there a special election?
Yeah,
I don't. The governor probably.
That's the rub. Yeah. If the governor replaces, they're not going to worry about it, and maybe that's why.
Yeah. Well,
also give him up because then Abbott can just replace him with some other what. So okay, but we need to find out.
But I also think too, I believe all politicians have an expiration date.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe Ken Paxton,
just like celebrities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You get
especially in the Republican Party, because politicians are celebrities in the Republican Party. That's their celebrityness. So
I think every public figure, whether you're a politician or not, or a pastor or whatever, I think you have your time in the sun.
Sure.
Then you don't. And then people, you go, you know what? That was real 2004 of you, but honestly, this is 2023.
Yeah.
You're not a TikTok kid anymore. You're just not a cool kid anymore. And we're kind of, Paxton is starting to stink. He has so much controversy. If this doesn't get him, he could be prosecuted by the Department of Justice anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think the DOJ is waiting to see how the legislature goes before they mess with him. But he's got some. I know the FBI is investigating him on some things on the federal level. So I think the Texas Republicans are making this move. The mainstream ones are doing this, like, at least if we get him out of office.
Yeah. Well, he can be,
then we can feed him to the fishes, so to speak, like in the Sopranos term. And we can put him as yesterday's news. We can get a new Republican in there that's probably younger, that is problematic. And we don't really care. We'll just put somebody else in office that isn't as wacko as Ken Paxton is, with all these civil suits. He's being sued by different groups. He's shared private medical information about certain kinds of people. He's done a lot of problematic things in the last 2 or 3 years that definitely have the illegalities, appearance of illegality. And I think the Republican Party, even if they don't impeach him, even if they don't have enough votes to impeach him in the Senate, I think at the very least they're sending a notice to him specifically. I think this is I think it's different than Georgia. I think Georgia realizes, because you're seeing this from the top, you're seeing the governor and the former lieutenant governor be very vocal about MAGA, very vocal about Trump, that they're against him, and we need to make this make sense because we're dying as a party. Texas Republicans have not paid that price yet. When they know that Colin Allred next year, Colin Allred can run on all these issues against Texas.
He can. He can run
up the list and say, look, first and foremost, Ted Cruz, one of our leaders here in the state of Texas, and he looked the other way. Even though he didn't have a say, he still has a say. And look what's happened under Ted Cruz's watch as a U.S. Senator to Texas in the last 5 years. Do you want more of the same, or do you want somebody like me that's a common sense Democrat? I've done so much in the House.
I think Ted Cruz might shut his mouth and start paying attention, because he could very well lose his seat.
No, he has. He's gotten quiet. I mean, he made the big mistake a couple of weeks ago where he made that dumbass, and I hate to use this term, but I guess we have to, dumbass. It was a dumbass video where he did this fake drinking beer. Biden can kiss my ass if he wants me just to drink 2 beer. And people ridiculed him because you could tell he didn't know how to drink a beer. And it was so it was very, very performative. And it would be equivalent to me trying.
But I don't know if either one of you've seen this. Real quick, speaking of Queens, but Mike Pence this week, so it would be last week by the time you see this, for our viewers and listeners. But this week went to some kind of state fair or some type of thing where it's like tractors and chickens and stuff like this.
In Iowa.
And he's doing his, and they had this photo op where this guy is sitting on this show tractor, this old antique restored John Deere. So this dude's looks kind of like a farmer dude, got a little beard, kind of young, probably about, I'd say 35, 40. Obviously likes Pence because it was a staged photo op. Which all politicians do.
Sure.
But the weird thing is, so Mike Pence climbs up on the back of the tractor and stepping things, and he grabs the stick, the little shifter on the John Deere, and basically it comes off as a sexual innuendo. Do you mind if I play with your stick or something like that? And there's this weird, because Mother's not there. Mother's not there. His wife is not keeping him in line. And then the guy kind of plays back, and it kind of has this broke-back, flirty, homoerotic deal. And then his staff says, "Hey, by the way, we got somewhere else to be." And Mike and the guy go, "Oh, that's kind of sad." Like they were having their big gay moment. But losing track of the fact that they're on the air, they're live. They're right there. This is a photo op and a press op. And they got video rolling, and they catch the whole exchange. And a person I follow on Instagram as this weird, like they did the split screen. She's kind of like, what?
What?
Yeah.
And everybody, even Republicans, are saying, well, that's mighty queer of you. And because it's like, it is the most broke back mountain Pence
But
moment.
did Pence have any idea? Did
Probably
Pence
not.
even know? No.
I think he's clueless. I don't know.
You need to see the video.
It's one of those.
We'll watch the. Yeah, he probably has a. He's probably
I have a copy of it, and I'm telling you, as a queer myself.
Is it going viral?
Oh, it's gone viral all over the place because
I'm going to have to tell so he can look at it.
even straight people are saying, their gaydar is going off. I think queers are looking at it going, that made me feel gay. It is a weird moment because both dudes are playing along. And it's like they're wanting to go sneak off and have a little bit of barn private time. But
I do think that Jenny hit the nail right on the head. Most of us who are in the LGBTQ community know from our own experiences, it's the quiet, religious, conservative ones that when they're not in front of their families or when they're not on stage, so to speak, they are the girliest, queeniest, perverted, humorous kind of persons. And it is so it would not surprise me if someone writes a tell-all story about Mike Pence being a lover or something. So
eventually they'll Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, exactly.
Like eventually
that's hilarious.
And not there's anything wrong with it. So.
I have no problem with Pence being gay.
Yeah.
Or bi.
Yeah.
I
don't care. It's his business.
0.0 issue with him, running around on Mother. That's between him, his wife, and his boyfriends.
Right.
Here's my issue.
He hasn't.
The issue is with the same jackass is the one that hurt LGBT people when he was governor of Indiana.
Exactly.
The same person that has, driven legislation and stuff like that while he was vice president that was anti-LGBT.
Sure.
With somebody has a history of LGBT activism and is in the closet.
Yeah.
And
that's
they're projecting
the worst.
their own bullshit. Like, deal with your shit, dude. Go to counseling, figure it out, make it work. Do the Barry Falwell Jr. thing and get yourself a pool boy. Every other responsible Republican just get you a pool boy. It's like the best
Jenny,
of both worlds.
Jenny, that is the perfect comeback. And I hope millennials and Baby Z's do this because Gen Xers did a terrible job of this. We're a crappy generation. I hope millennials and Baby Z's do this for the next wave of homophobic politicians. I hope at town hall meetings, they don't even talk about how terrible their ideas are, that all they say is, please deal with your shit.
Are both senators from South Carolina that are closetly gay.
Exactly.
Tim Scott and Lindsey
Can we think of one or two?
Hey, here in North Carolina, Lieutenant Governor Robinson is the biggest down low queen. I mean, anyone who has ever seen the Robinson guy.
Met him. I'm like,
he is the biggest down low queen.
He's a church lady. He is a church lady. He is. And goes, my Lanta, and
he is.
I guarantee you, there is going to be a recording. That is going to surface next year.
Repent.
Something, a little alternative lifestyle. I don't know what it'll be.
Yeah,
but I'm just telling you, anybody that projects like big old Queen Mark Robinson does, and he's a big old
his name. Yeah, big old Queen.
Sooner or later, the little skeletons will just pop out of the closet, just like Madison Cawthorn. Be like, "Ploop, here I am, mate."
Happens all the time. Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's just like Lindsey Graham and all the male sex workers that he's employed in the Washington D.C. area. Eventually, they go, he hasn't been calling as much, he hasn't been paying as much.
Yeah. I'm going to
We
turn
should
them in.
probably just go to the Washington Post and tell our story while we still can. That's still be a hot commodity.
Hey, Jen, we're way past our second break, and we need to get into our topic. So we're going to take a break. This is really fun. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey, this Labor Day weekend, we have the return of fall and autumn holiday season. So we have a great fall lineup, and we encourage you to tune in to many of our fabulous shows, like our Say show, and many more things in October and November as well. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all. Hey, I'm Christian Cano. I wanted to thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce shows. I also want to thank you so much for watching us on our video podcast, which is on Facebook and YouTube, but also for listening to us on our audio podcast shows on your favorite audio podcast platform, like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and many more. Once again, thanks for watching us and listening to us on Coffee Pan Dulce. Bye, y'all. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you. This conversation actually is funner than our topic, so we're probably only going to talk about our topic very minimally on this. So the National Football League, as they go into their season, which has started right now, and actually, when you watch this, their first week has already started.
Thursday night football, woohoo!
That's right, and it is estimated that approximately 35 million of the NFL's football fans are Latino or Hispanic viewers and fans, viewers. People who go to games and follow them on internet, all their base. They are considered to be the largest niche market in the NFL. And so I have to put this in perspective. So 31 million fans, that means that the Latino, just the Latino market. Now, we're not really talking about the Spanish market. The Spanish market is part of the Latino market, but it's a different market. It's a different, market. But the Latino market is larger than the Black market. It's larger than the women market. It's larger than the white male market. Now, white men and white women are a majority of the market, but for many of the teams, the Latino market is larger than both of them. And I'll give you a couple of the teams just to let you know who they are. And this is last year's information. The Los Angeles Chargers are 48% white demographic, 22% Black, and 25% Hispanic. This is the same kind of data for the Baltimore Ravens, the New York Jets, the Los Angeles Rams, the Oakland Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, the Houston Texans, the New York Giants, Atlanta Falcons, the Miami Dolphins, San Francisco, the Carolina Panthers are now 55% considered white, which includes male and female. So that's actually, those are two different niche markets. When you put them together, there's 21% Black and 20% Hispanics. So even in North Carolina, the demographic is actually almost now majority Hispanic. But when you divide white men and white women, it makes the Hispanics jump above them. And this is the reason this is important, and I wish Raphael was on here. When the NFL or when any group advertises, they advertise by niche markets. You don't advertise the same to white men that you do to white women. It's a different type of advertising. And so the money goes niche-wise. So niche marketing-wise, if you advertise to Latinos, it is now the new majority market to advertise to them, which is why you see a lot of commercials with a lot more diversity in the NFL commercials. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about very briefly. And another reason is, and this is anecdotal, and I have a really hard time saying that. Am I saying that right? Anecdotal. I have been, as Jenny knows, a Dallas Cowboy fan my entire life. And I can tell you, just from my own personal observation, going to Dallas Cowboy games since the late 80s, I have seen the fans in the stadium change from majority white men, white women, to now about 60% Hispanic. And the games that I have attended over the last decade, the majority of the ticket holders that go to these games and hang out at the tailgating and everything, the majority now are Hispanic. And I have noticed that trend just with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm sure it's been this way kind of on a lot of the southwestern kind of states. But it's interesting to see this data in New York, New Jersey, and in North Carolina. So, Jenny, jump in on your favorite topic. I'm being sarcastic there, but
I just love the NFL.
Exactly.
Or as I call it, the no fun league. I know the demographic in Texas shifted quite a while ago, and I'll use a real life example why I saw this. To me, this is old news. The fact that the NFL's kind of talking about it now, is a whole different deal. But in Texas, for example, Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, recognized this quite a while ago, and you saw it in a historic shift that he did when he moved the training camp. And I don't know if he still does this because it was kind of bad for the players, but it was definitely a PR move. He shifted the training camp from Thousand Oaks, California, that has pretty decent weather in the summer, like it gets up in about the 80s, mid 80s, kind of comfortable, to the parking lot of the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, where it's like 400 degrees out in a parking lot. Now they trucked in this pallets of grass and made this playing field, this practice field out in the parking lot of the Alamo Dome, which the players themselves, and this was about 2000, 2001, it was early 2000s. I was living there at the time too, so it was a really big deal because all these, and the biggest turnout when you went out there, one, San Antonio is 60% Hispanic. It's San Antonio. It's northern Mexico. They're huge Cowboys fans. That's a huge market for them. That's why they fought the NFL putting a football team there, because it would be a massive loss for the Dallas Cowboys in the market. And so massive turnouts, huge things, just to go watch them practice, which I personally had no intention of going down there and watching this because I could just watch the nightly news, to watch people drink out a water bottle and throw the foosball. But I found that Jerry Jones was sending a message to the San Antonio market. It's very important to me, to the NFL. The Latino market, Texas, is very important to me. I understand watching the games. I understand how the market's shifting. And you've seen that the Dallas Cowboy organization very much sell to that market because they understand that dollar value, that the wealth from that Latino Hispanic community and the fandom. A true story, this one's more of an anecdotal one. Is that time I was working in a travel agency office, and right across the street, they had a family-owned, I call it a burrito shop. It was it was like a original building with about 15 add-ons. The brothers it was a family that owned it. All the brothers cooked. All the women did all the cashiering and service into at the front of the house. Every one of those guys had to have a direct link to the Dallas Cowboys store. Those guys did not have a company uniform. They didn't wear one. The women did. They wore the brand's T-shirts. They had these polo things that they wore. But the dudes, the way the kitchen was set up, you passed right by it. You could see right in the kitchen because this place was so long and narrow. Every one of them, no matter what time of the year, whether the foosball was playing or not, every single day had a Dallas Cowboy T-shirt, golf shirt, ball caps. You would think Jerry Jones sponsored this restaurant because it was 24/7 a Dallas Cowboy, and we happened to sell burritos. Now,
Yeah.
they did make the best damn burrito in San Antonio, and they made the thing was the size of a football. They called it the football burrito store. It was so big. But every time I think about Dallas Cowboys, the Hispanic market, I think those guys, they were super friendly. It was a really good place. It was right across the street, but that market, the NFL is stupid to ignore or not sell that market specific. There's a lot of wealth in the Hispanic community. Historically, Hispanic communities and Latin American countries have always supported their favorite sports. You can look at football, soccer. The same way in Mexico and Central America and in Europe is the historic commitment to branding and all that. And it's a great market. Every NFL owner it would be a fool not to sell those specific markets.
Hey, Jen, I got to cut you off because we're going way over here. Barb, you have any comments on this topic before we?
I guess. Do you guys think it's because there's no soccer market there? To me, my mindset is they're talking about the shift away from the Panthers to the soccer team here in Charlotte. If all of a sudden Dallas got a soccer team, would that be the same thing there?
That's an excellent question, and that's why I wish Raphael had been on today, because there is a difference. There is a very big difference between a soccer fan and a NFL or football fan. And one of the things that they're finding when they're doing these demographics is the Hispanic market that is following the NFL is not Spanish speaking, it's English speaking Hispanics. And so because the Spanish speaking market is a different market, they're talking about English speaking Hispanics, second, third, fourth, fifth, Tejanos who've been there, forever. These are Chicanos, people in New York, people in New Jersey. These are people, they have just like Italians or Irish, they have no connection to soccer. All they know is baseball, basketball, football, track, tennis, So in America, the number one sport that Hispanics watch is football. It's not soccer. Now, soccer is a big deal, but it seems to be more with more immigrant populations, maybe first generation population, but also just people who like soccer. And so I don't know, because Raphael may have that data, but I can tell you, I have not been to a Charlotte professional soccer game, but what I have seen is where white people are going to those. And there are Hispanic people going as well, but I don't know the data on that. I don't know, Jenny, do you have any comments on that before we kind of start wrapping up here?
The American market's always been a hard sell for professional soccer.
Sure.
And so there's one thing
about it. My brother played soccer, and he was always ticked because we didn't go to games. I said, we work during the day. You play your game right after school. How in the hell are we supposed to get there? And I said, be mad. I would be too. Yeah. I can't go. I don't know anything about it. So. And
professional soccer is just not a big thing in the United States like the NFL is. As far as merchandising, as far as NFL's been a dominant sport here for a long time, and I think real old school brands like the Dallas Cowboys, for example, that have been around a long time, has a very
been around as long as the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. So don't.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a Chicago Bear.
They're a medium old team compared to the Bears and
that's true.
Steelers and the Jets. It's no. They're the old teams. We're the original teams.
Yeah, they're well-established brand.
Yeah,
and so for people that that are of age that go to the middle Americans that would go to the games, that sit in the regular seats, that buy the tickets and the PSLs and buy all the gear and stuff like that. Not the people that live in the corporate skybox, because most of those aren't fans. They're just there to be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
All that. But your actual fan base that watches the games on the NFL Sunday Ticket and all that, those they're going to follow very particular brands that they identify with, whether it's the Bears or the Jets or whoever. And because the Dallas Cowboys, for example, throughout their history, have been the dominant brand in their region, because there isn't anything in New Mexico. There wasn't anything competitive wise. I mean, the Houston's had two different teams and iterations, but Dallas has had a lot of great success in winning championships and things like that, and have had two long-term owners that really dominated the NFL. And the same way with the Bears. The Bears have a storied franchise after, Walter Payton, Mike Ditka, the black and blue division. I mean, the Packers, the Bears are synonymous with the NFL history. These type of historic teams that have the great branding year after year, it doesn't even matter how well they perform. Their gear set. Their fan base is loyal. The Packers literally sells out every game. And so those type of teams have a brand loyalty. And as you see the Hispanic population grow so much in the United States, is the fastest growing major demographic. As we're shifting over time, you're seeing it's part and parcel, because the Hispanic community is such a huge demographic in this country. Is that if you choose to ignore it as a company, for example, as an enterprise selling to the public, as Rick Tillerson says, you're a fucking idiot. Like you can't. You're a lot of money because Mecklenburg County here, out of every 5 residents is Latinx or Hispanic.
Yep.
And that's a lot of people, because we got 1.2 million people. That's a big population.
Well, hey, listen,
hell of a market to sell to. You're an idiot if you ignore it.
Well, one of the things that I've always shared, and this is only my own personal experience, I don't have the scientific data to back this up, but what I notice with sports is that the biggest fan base of any sport is usually the people who can't play that sport. And that's the reason they're willing. No, I mean, really, that's the reason they're willing to pay to watch a sport, is because they admire the athleticism of people who can play that sport. And I say this because when you look at the major sports, the number one fans now seems to be Hispanics, and there are very, very few Hispanic players in the NFL. So I think that the admiration of watching the NFL is because these are people that are playing something that I can't play. When you look at basketball, one of the number one fans that buy the big tickets are white men, because they can't necessarily play basketball. When you look at soccer,
hang on a second. Oh. This could be a semi-potato crop.
That's right.
No way, shape, or form.
Yes,
does Reggie
that's
White,
true. That's true. That's true.
Carry the opinions of Barbara Bacon or myself.
That's
and
right.
I, Jenny Gunn, am not going to go on a semi-questionable racist rant about who can't do what.
Yeah.
Like Reggie White did and got canceled.
Sure.
But in no way represents our opinions or hold
No, that's a good point, Jen. No, Jenny,
a ton of great. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this out loud, is that I've known a lot of good Latinx NFL players. Yeah. It's just that I think in a lot of the and the same way with the NBA, I mean, you look at some of the best players for the San Antonio Spurs, came from Latin American countries, but I think where you are right is that the fan base typically is middle-aged men, that their glory days.
Yes.
What you meant to say before you went into choppy waters of what you were about to do, like and we get canceled. I can see the headline now. Is what you meant to say is the people that are the fan base of the NFL are people that couldn't be a professional athlete, which is 99.9% of the people in the world. But also too, the people that go out and buy the expensive personal seat licenses and really spend the money on the fandom are typically people that, even if they could play at a high level, those glory years are behind. They're 40 and 50-year-old pot-bellied men that are, they're going to be watching on TV, but they're past their prime, but it's a way for them to live their glory years. They play football or junior high ball or even just sports in general. And I find that to be true with any kind of spectator thing. Is a lot of the aficionados, a lot of the people that like certain athletic things like Tour de France or whatever the sporting event, the Olympics, every 4 years, all of a sudden everybody becomes an expert on women's gymnastics and who got an opinion about some files. But I think in general, your sports fans are usually two different categories. People that just love the thrill of sport and kind of live vicariously through these super phenomenal pro athletes that are just some of the most athletic humans in the world. I think the second person is in the NFL's case, is the degenerate gambler. Because gambling has a big influence on how NFL games are viewed, how it's one of the reasons they've spread the schedule out over Thursday night and Monday night and all that, is Vegas has a lot to do with that now, and broadcast rights and things of that nature, because there's so many different ways of betting on games. And betting on games and betting on sports has now become mainstream because
hey Jen, let me interrupt you, because I think I hear what you're saying, and I completely misspoke. That's not what I was trying to say. What I was trying to what I was trying to say was I was agreeing with the article that I was reading. The article that I was reading was basically comparing the demographic that follows the NFL, which is now largely Hispanic from a niche marketing, and the amount of players that play. So they were talking about the irony, I guess, if I'm wording that properly, that the NFL has captured so many Hispanic fans, but yet they have so little Hispanic players. And so they were looking at this, the dynamic. They were comparing it to basketball. They were comparing that there are very few in comparison to players demographically. There's a very large percentage of demographic players that the actual fan base, when you go to the actual games, doesn't represent the actual people who play. And they talk about that in soccer as well, that just because a lot of in this article, just because a lot of Hispanics play soccer when they're younger doesn't mean that they want to watch soccer when they're older. They want to watch football. And so that was the comparison that they were making. So I apologize if I as you're speaking, I'm realizing what I had said, and I completely agree. I didn't mean to say that no Hispanics can play football or no Hispanics can play baseball, right, or whatever the case may be. What I meant to say with this article was talking about I don't know if they were wording it this, because I don't want to put voices. It was a Hispanic newspaper that was doing this article. The irony, I guess, because they published the demographics of all these teams, but yet of all these teams, there's very, very little Hispanic representation. And they highlighted the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have a very high Hispanic fan base, but yet they only had one Hispanic player at the time, Tony Romo. And
but I think it's a statistical anomaly because one, the amount of pro football players that exist in the United States out of 330 million people, and you only have 50 something per team, and there's like 30 teams, or I guess there's 32 now. So that's 1,700 just doing the math in my head out of 300 million people.
Sure.
And to say every one of the players in the NFL, there's no foreign ones, that they're all American born and all that. Let's just keep the math simple.
Yeah.
You're talking about a fraction of even the college football players that make it in the NFL. And so when you have such a small pool of people to pull from, I think when you're talking about racial and ethnic breakdowns in the NFL as a player, I think those kind of stats go out the window because it's too small to say it can be representative of anything. I would say part and parcel of one of the reasons you see a lot of pro athletes in the NFL and the NBA specifically, historically speaking, is how school districts have run their sports programs. Also, college scholarship programs, how the recruiting's done. If you want to speak to why you just don't see a lot of Latino and Hispanic pro football players, you may not see a lot on the college level because they may choose to play different sports. It may be the recruiting. It may be the regionality of the country. But I think that the people that view sports versus the people that play pro sports is two different conversations. And what I mean by that, you don't have to be athletic to watch athletics events. And so,
as a matter of fact, you watch. That's what I was trying to say, Jenny. I mean, what I was trying to say was that what they're saying, and what they're saying is more specifically, 57% of NFL players were black, 9.4% identified as two or more races, and only 0.4% identified as Hispanic or Latinx. So they were looking at the anomaly, I guess. I don't know if I'm using the term right. They're looking at the anomaly of how little representation there is of players, but yet so many Hispanics watch it. So they're obviously not watching it because they want to watch Hispanics. You know what I mean?
Well, but I think you said this yourself, though, is Hispanics, just like LGBT people, are in all walks of life.
Exactly. And that's true.
I'll tell you what it does say about the Latino and Hispanic community is it says that their buying power, the rise of the Hispanic middle and upper class income brackets has become bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And maybe wasn't the case 2 or 3 generations ago. Is that many of these current NFL fans are now second, third, and fourth generation Americans, and they've now ascended into jobs and careers that afford them higher incomes and higher disposable income to be able to watch sports or pay for sporting events or pay for the gear and stuff like that. That maybe our grandparents that were, or at least in my case, were new arrivals, couldn't afford to go into and spend money on luxury items like sporting stuff.
That's a good point.
And I think, again, if you're going to talk about a societal, especially when you're talking about the Hispanic Heritage Month that we're coming into on September 16th, I think what it says is that our society needs to reflect on what it is to be American and to realize that it's not just white men.
Exactly.
When you think about what it is to be American, just to look at white men when there is so much black representation, there's so much Hispanic and Latinx representation. Economically speaking, is to be American is just to be American, and you can put whatever hyphen you want in front of it. But at the end of the day, to ignore that because of racism or whatever is stupid. It makes more business sense to appeal to multiple markets. And most of all, people are people. The NFL is a good brand. I don't typically partake in any NFL stuff anymore. A long time. But they're not just selling to one person.
Sure.
It's a very broad market because there's the sports market and sportstainment is turned into something because of the massive amount of new TV network. The fact that you can watch it on the Google machine now, it's such a broader market that you can stream games and movies on iPads and handheld devices. It's such a game changer. And I think what it really says is that our society's evolved in some good ways. And that politicians and policymakers and the Fortune 500 companies need to take note.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I completely agree with you.
Ignore certain prejudice at your own expense.
Sure, exactly. And that's probably what the article was about. I just misunderstood it. So, listen.
Without reading it and all that, I think what they're really denoting is not that Hispanic, football players aren't getting recruited because they're Hispanic. I think it's just a statistical irony that the representation in the actual games.
Sure.
But also, too, I mean, I think it says more about the burgeoning buying power of the Latinx and Hispanic middle and upper middle class and the amount of money they represent. And I think it's something that you're seeing a definite fear of Republicans of that buying power, because that also interprets into voting power and policy power. And instead of going with it and embracing it, the Republican Party doubles down.
It goes against it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jenny. Yeah, hey, Jenny. If you like what you hear from Jenny, she does have a show that comes on 30 minutes after this. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. This last commercial will be about Jenny's show. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and thank you. Please join Jenny's show. It comes on 30 minutes after this. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. This has been a great conversation, and we're actually going to jump directly into our Pendejo Chronicles to end the show. And this is the Pendejo Chronicles. All right, here's the Pendejo Chronicles. It was going to be about Elon Musk and his fight with the Anti-Defamation League on X, but now it's going to be me. I've had time to reflect what Jenny has talked about, and I haven't seen the tape, but I'm sure Jenny's got a pretty good eye of saving me. So I will have to say that I apologize because I probably came across, I'm sure when I see this, is kind of a more of a racist, bigoted kind of statement. And I apologize for that. So I will have to include me in the Pendejo Chronicles, because when we do say things that probably are not appropriate, I'm not trying to be woke, but I am woke. I do have to say that. So Jenny, you want to comment on that Pendejo Chronicles before we end the show?
Well, I know what your heart is. I know that you don't have a racist or bigoted bone in your body.
Well, maybe I do. I just don't realize.
I think sometimes you trip over your words, and your brain goes down rabbit holes. I know what you were trying to say is that the people that watch sports typically aren't athletes, because if you're an athlete, you'd be playing the sports.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. But how did I say it? I said it more like, well, white people can't play basketball, Hispanics can't play football. Yeah. All right.
It was reticent of the Reggie White sermon.
Oh gosh.
And it was insanely. Now he meant it to be racist and said stuff that was crazily cringe and out of date mentality. But he's a black conservative that was trying to appeal to a very white audience of evangelicals, and he sounded as stupid as he came off. Yeah. And yours was more, you were reflecting on the tone and tenor of the article, which was putting out a statistic anonymously that 0.3% of current NFL players are Latinx or Hispanic. And it's so different because their buying power and their watching power is like, 100 times higher in the deal. And I know what you meant to say, but a lot of times that's pretty common in sports anyways.
Yeah.
The people that watch aren't necessarily reflective of who's playing, unless it's youth sports or something like that. But in pro sports, that is where people pay to watch it and things of that nature. It's surprising how many men go to chick flicks. It's surprising how many men went to the Barbie movie. I'm sure a lot of men had comments about the Barbie movie about a girl's doll toy line. But the same people are the same people that amazingly watch a lot of adult films with trans performers in it. Are the same people that walk out that door and get on their Twitter machine and tweet about how they hate trans women. In fact, I have an article in Q that I'll probably talk about next week about that specific demographic where the most transphobic overlaps with the most downloads trans performers. And it's amazing the projection there. But I don't think you particularly, before you went down the rabbit hole, what you're saying and got all tongue-tied, I just want to say I was joking about the racist part. Christian's not racist, homophobic, or bigoted at all. He's a very open-minded human being in our personal conversations. But it does need to be said that that it's very easy to go down a road of tropes, even as an open-minded progressives as we are. It's very easy to fall into that rabbit hole in society, and sometimes we need to catch ourselves and just go, and that self-awareness that you have and I have, whereas like Elon Musk, for example, that tries to prove he's not anti-Semitic by sharing an anti-Semitic post 2 million times and allowing it to stay on Twitter or X or whatever they call it for the day. Let it repost 2 million, retweet 2 million times before they took it off. And there is the problem is intentionality. Your intentionality was to talk about the statistics of it, and it was an accidental cringe moment, but you quickly recovered because you knew what you said could be misconstrued or taken. Elmo, on the other hand, very much proves that not only is he a homophobe and a transphobe and a racist, he added to the list, obviously, an anti-Semite as well. And as the CEO and he makes sure everybody knows that he's the boss at Twitter in the grand supreme dictatorship of a failing, social platform, just like True Social's about to get out of business. But this jackass, he allowed anti-Semitic hate with that tweet that should have, the moment it was brought to his attention, shouldn't even had to be brought to his attention. He should have took that down.
Jenny and I,
and that's something that didn't even take that much awareness. That should be something that should have saw about 10 seconds of airtime, and then their moderators just said, pretty anti-Semitic, and that has nothing to do with free speech. Is that hate speech being disguised as First Amendment free speach?
Sure.
That's something that you can't misunderstand that tweet. I'm not going to repeat the tweet. Because I'm not going to facilitate hate. But me, as a non-Jewish person, as a non-religious person, I can look at that tweet and go,
that's problematic. And
there is no two interpretations on what it said.
Sure.
It was a very short tweet. It was very to the point, and it was very gross. And in 2023, it's completely wrong. There is no gray area on it. And that is the part it's a great case study between two different men and one person owning it and self-correcting and acknowledging that their co-host is shutting that conversation down before it gets heated up and not allowing it to exist. And you being able to and you stepping back and saying, yeah, I probably should just let Jenny take over for a second while I recapture my thoughts. But having the courage to be able to do that and not feel embarrassed or wrong, there's no reason for you to be embarrassed. And a CEO knowing, looking away and laughing about an obvious anti-Semitic hate tweet going for 72 hours with 2 million plus retweets says all you need to know about the platform and the owner of that company, and fuck Elon Musk. Yeah. He is Cano. He will be an eternal Pinata, because he is a total self-absorbed jackass and bigot. So there we go.
Well, let me say that I'm so grateful to have Jenny as a co-host. because about this time is when I would have to say, that's not what my heart, what are the people who say those kind of things and they have to come back and say, that's not who I am. That's not how my heart is. After they double down on something like that. You
could have had a Jimmy Swaggart moment where you cried.
I have sinned.
But send me some money. Send me some donations. Now, if you would like to donate to the cause.
If you would like to donate, exactly.
All right. I'm going to be putting up my store links pretty soon for my Trump. Speaking of monetizing, is I'm going to be putting up my links. My store is ready to sell different mugshot paraphernalia, including a snowflake Christmas ornament, because Jesus is the reason for the season, and you can get your Trump patriotic snowflake deal. In all honesty,
well, I can't wait. I can't wait for us to share it on our show links. So we need to bump it on our show. Yeah,
and we've got the American flag behind his mugshot and some artisan crafted American assembled products, high quality products. We have mugs, we have pillowcases, we have different Christmas ornaments, at reasonable prices. And you will see the links probably showing up today in our feed. So super excited to have this Trump store and help support my startup company and also get some historic merchandise that's will hopefully never happen in our history again.
Wonderful.
Listen.
All right, so let's go around Brady Bunch screen, which is you and me now, since Barbara had to drop off. Tell us where you're going to be the weekend after this drops, which is actually your birthday weekend. Just want to let you know that. So where are you going to be, Jen?
Well, I never planned my birthday out. In fact, I rarely ever celebrate it on the day of, because I remind people I'm not 12 years old, so it's not really the day of. I celebrate throughout the month of September, even early October, and just whatever a friend wants to scoop me up and take me to dinner and feed me, because I'm a fat kid, so I can be bribed with food. And I usually try to go to some kind of event. Or pre-pandemic, I went to a political campaign kickoff. Actually, Judge Marvel was his first official political event. September 17th in 2019. I was there on the day of my birthday, and I joked with us, I skipped my birthday to come to a political event, but truthfully I went because there was free food and drink. And I also got to meet Rex, and we've become good friends since then. And we joked easily. We said, "I'm honored you're here on your birthday." I said, "Well, I actually had nowhere else to go too," and bribery works. And it was a great event. Got to meet his family and got to have a good time and go to a nice place in Plaza Midwood. And but yeah, I don't make it a big deal. It comes around once a month, or once a year, and it's just a good time. And I go with the flow. Older age is a privilege. I never expected to make it to 50, so quite clean up. I appreciate my life, and many loved ones of mine I lost a long time ago. So my birthday is different now, and it has been for a long time. So, and it's a good thing.
Well, Jenny, you know that you're loved on this show, and we love you, and a lot of viewers and listeners love you. So, you know, you're very much loved, and you have changed many lives. I know you've changed mine. So I'm very grateful to have you in my life. The weekend after this airs, I will sure be with Jenny somewhere for her birthday. So I probably won't be camping. Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah, that weekend we are not camping, so I will be in Charlotte doing something that weekend. I'm sure it'll be something with Jenny. So I don't know. Do we have any beer pong tournaments to enter that weekend, or are we?
I hope not.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
There's always something going on that time of the year, and
yeah, we'll find something. Yeah,
the weather starts to get a little bit cooler and a little bit more moderated. So there's always. I know there's several annual events that are usually there, and then being Hispanic Heritage Month, for the kickoff of that, there's always a lot of events. I know last year we did our LULAC party. Yes,
the LULAC party.
I don't remember what I did the year before. I honestly don't remember my birthdays most of the time, and it's just one of those things. But yeah. We'll probably get into some kind of hijinks or tomfoolery, I'm sure, and be talking about it on the next day.
All righty. Well, listen, we do thank you for joining us. I do want to remind you that next week, when the next show that drops on this on our channel, is going to be about the Latinx population, or Latinx Hispanic population in American public schools. We've invited here in the Charlotte region. We have invited school board at-large candidates to come on and talk about the topic. It is about how the majority of school children, public school children now in America, in America's top 20 schools, are Hispanic and Latinx. They are now the majority, just a little bit above African-American and Black students, and then white students and others. And we want to talk about that topic. However, the school boards in those cities and the parents that come out to speak at school board meetings don't reflect those students. So we'll be talking about that. The actual title is Other Parents Still Think They Know More. So that is kind of the title. And if we can, we have not decided this, it depends on Jenny, and if we can get some other people, we will be doing a special show, our 16 show, where we do a grito contest. We've done that every year. We'll try to continue it, but we'll have to do a special show, tape it, and squeeze it in and drop it on the 16th, which is the day before Jenny's birthday. So with that said, I guess we'll end the show. You ready? Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Let's see. Here we go.
Y'all have a safe
Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week on Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. And it's a wild one, so if you do tune in, make it all the way to the long ending, because it gets a little bumpy at the end, but it's worth it. We have some good moments. So thanks for watching, as always, and be safe out there.
Peace out. Bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Our fall schedule's out on Facebook, and we have a great slate of shows for September, October, and November. Hope you watch Coffee and Pan Dulce in the next few months. And thanks for watching and listening up until now. We'll see you soon. Have a great week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers and a Truck. Stay tuned.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Sounds
You
great.
sounded like a telenova. I mean,
I'm trying this. All I have to say is go. Yes.
as a non-Spanish speaker.
One second. Let me get my 9 o'clock. Perfect timing. All right, start that. And then when you hear the music, we have started. Ready, Jen?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to come back, and then I'm going to repeat that, Jenny, and then you can comment because you have been predicting that Trump's going to go to jail, and I remember saying they'll never send a president to jail. So we'll see what happens.
I think that primrose path is getting strewn with maybe flower seeds because if they don't get rid of him, they're dead.
All right, here we go. All right, we're going to come back. All right, so we're actually going to come back and talk very briefly about the NFL. so here we go. All right, sure.
Guys,
there's
the Google guys here. I gotta go.
Okay,
right.
bye.
I can connect next week.
Okay.
Good luck. Send some of that my way. Bye.
You saved me there. I'm going to have to correct myself here in this last part. Okay, so we're going to come back. I'm going to do the Pendejo Chronicles really quickly and then we'll end the show. But I am going to include myself because I agree with you. It did come across, I think, as kind of...
it came off racist.
Yeah, it came across...
oh shit, he's going to have a Reggie Wright moment. Like, I'm telling you, when you go back and watch it,
yeah,
your butthole's going to go to a pucker number 10, right? I mean,
hey,
you're going to go.
But I got to own it. Here we go. We're going to come back. Ready?
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.